Today we are going to be talking about fostering writing with early learners. We will explore an overview of early writing, then we will analyze writing environments and talk about writing instruction for the purposes of writing. The goal of this session is to deepen your knowledge of foundational writing skills and give you practical ideas for the classroom. How well children do in writing and name writing is related to elementary academic performance and other literacy areas like decoding and spelling. We can teach children the purposes of writing and create an environment where children enjoy writing and have confidence in their ability to communicate. There are two parts to emergent writing: universal elements, which emerge no matter the language, and English-specific elements. It will be helpful to keep this sequence in mind as we focus on the purposes of writing. Please take a moment to review this slide. As we progress, you'll see that the other elements often appear within purposes of writing instruction. Let's dig a little bit deeper. First, children begin drawing, where children use drawing rather than letters to represent thoughts and ideas. With more opportunities to write and exposure to books, children will start scribble writing. Their marks may be continuous lines or separate shapes. The shapes may include dots, circles, or lines. Around this time, you may begin to see English-specific elements. Here, children begin to write letter-like forms. Children gain more control over their writing and their marks begin to move into conventional shapes or mock letters. Also, their marks become separate and less continuous. Gradually, children begin to write random letters or letter strings. Their marks on paper are recognizable letters, but they may be backwards or mirrored. Children create strings of letters with spaces between each to indicate words, and children may begin to demonstrate an interest in copying words. You can see the transition from early emergent to emergent. The next step is invented spelling. Children begin to write sounds that they hear in words. They omit some letters, however, over time, children should be able to identify and produce sounds for most letters. Cat might be represented as C or CT. Finally, children move to conventional spelling. All sounds in the words are represented with letters written correctly, even if the word is misspelled. It shouldn't be hard to guess the word when it is misspelled. For example, the word like is spelled L-I-K. Because the E is silent, its absence is not surprising or alarming. Now that we've given a quick overview of general writing development in young learners, let's begin with the universal and foundational element, the purposes of writing. The purposes of writing are often overlooked or minimized in instruction in favor of later English-specific elements like letter writing and conventional spelling. But let's talk about the purposes of writing for early childhood. Luckily, these purposes also align with writing in later grades as well as adulthood. The first purpose might be to express or communicate. The next might be to describe an object, event, or write an observation. The next purpose might be to inform, or another purpose to entertain, and the last purpose would be to persuade. When children journal, they are writing to express themselves. If children write about what they will build in the construction area, they are describing a plan. If children write a book review, they are informing others about the book. Children write stories for entertainment. Finally, writing to persuade is more challenging for early childhood, but children can learn that writing can influence others. For example, they can write to persuade someone to come and read a story. Take a look at these purposes of writing examples and see if you can identify any that you might use in your classroom. All right, now we're going to go through a quick exercise and see if we can identify what type of writing. All right, what type of writing is writing a grocery list? If you guessed inform, that would be correct. A grocery list is simply written to inform someone, either the person writing it or someone who's running an errand, what they need at the grocery store. What about writing about your favorite toy? What would that fall under? If you guessed express, you would be correct. You are expressing how you feel about your favorite toy. Now, if you were writing about how that favorite toy is the best and should be the only toy in the world, that might be persuade. What about writing a different ending to a story? If you guessed entertain, you would also be correct. Anytime you're writing a story or something to entertain somebody, it would fall under entertaining. Let's try a couple more. What type of writing would this be? Let's look at the picture. You can see in the caption that it's Daddy's Day, a letter to Daddy. This type of writing would be an observation. So something that students would be sharing about what happened with Daddy. What type of writing might this be? It looks like it's framed. I see some pictures along with it too. So this is a little tough to tell because we don't have the full context, but this would either be to inform or to express. What about this? This appears to be an invitation, so this seems to be to express or communicate. Let's talk a little bit about the writing environment. The writing environment in your classroom is critical to providing many and varied writing opportunities. If materials are easily accessible and engaging, children will use them, even if they might need a little nudge from you to get started. As adults, and especially teachers, we use fancy pens and sometimes different paper to write on. We have journals, notebooks. Everyone knows I love my planner. It brings out creativity and it can make writing fun. Children also enjoy writing with different materials. Here are suggestions on this chart of what could be in a writing center. Introduce materials at different times and rotate them. So you don't have to have these out all at once, maybe just a couple, but rotate them to keep them fresh. And provide instruction or coaching on how to properly use each. So look at some of the things you could write with. Pencils, pens, markers, gel pens. I love gel pens. Dry erase markers. What kid doesn't love dry erase markers? Magnetic letters, letter tiles, stamps, letter cards, letter templates, paint brushes, and even chalk. And you don't just have to write on paper. Plain old white paper. You could write on sentence strips, sticky notes. I love sticky notes. Pads of paper, cards, envelopes, chalkboards, magnetic boards, whiteboards. And some references you could use: books, alphabet charts, number charts, name cards. Name cards are huge. Kids love their names. Picture cards, vocabulary cards. And then, of course, you can use paper clips, scissors, erasers, paint, Play-Doh, stickers, tape, stencils, and ink pads. All different materials to keep writing exciting and fun. Now, in your centers, it's also important to place writing supplies in current thematic books. This way, children can either write play plans or they can write about what they're doing in their center. Something that's really important is if students are maybe acting something out and they see adults making lists, they might want to stop and jot and make a list too. So giving them an opportunity to do this is really important. It's also really important to place their writing and work on the walls to show that it's valued. There are many other places that writing opportunities should also appear. For example, providing play plans and construction area so that children can plan their building like blueprints, placing paper on clipboards for observations at Exploration Station, and even helping children label their artwork at Art Easel or Art Center. Keep pens, paper, clipboards, and other basic writing supplies throughout your classroom. The possibilities are endless. Here are some examples of print in the classroom that are teacher and child created. Notice that the writing is throughout the classroom and not always picture perfect. We're not looking for perfect. We're looking for learning and progress. Charts and other reference materials are really helpful, but place them in their centers intentionally. If there's too many things taped on the table and walls, it could be visually overwhelming. So think about if it's meaningful. Sometimes I'll see a really great chart from morning meeting, but it'll be in Library Center and not related at all to the books the students are reading. So make sure that you're intentional and what you're placing in centers is meaningful. Now that your classroom is prepared for writing throughout the day, let's explore some instruction. Shared writing is the primary strategy for teaching writing purposes in early childhood. Shared writing combines teacher modeling with child participation. It can accompany almost any task: writing a letter, answering a question of the day, an activity checklist, morning messages, a short story, or rewriting the end of a favorite book. You just need chart paper and markers. Journaling is a 10 to 15 minute block of time that you are hopefully already doing, when children can respond to prompts or they can free write at their level of writing development. Some children may scribble, while others string together random letters or use basic inventive spelling. It's a great time for differentiation while you reinforce the purposes of writing. Though children shouldn't be required to respond to the provided prompts, prompts help reinforce a variety of writing purposes. For example, after reading Click Clack Moo, Cows That Type, you might ask children to write a letter like the cows. You can model writing a letter and leave it posted during journal time as children work independently. Children can learn to write their names before they progress through inventive and conventional spelling, and even before knowing all 26 letters. You can reinforce the purpose of name writing by saying you need to put your name on your artwork so I know it's yours. And children can also put letter tiles on the letters in their name, trace the letters in their name, sign in at arrival, and add their names to turns lists and centers, or even write their name next to a teacher-dictated response to a question during shared writing. As children write, use the opportunity to support mechanics that will lead to good habits later on. The pinch to grip of writing utensils, letter formation, and directionality are all helpful. Try tasks that support fine motor skills like using tweezers at the sand and water table. Use letter talk such as around and stop for the letter C to reinforce the shapes of letters. And encourage children to write their names at the top left of their paper during journaling or other times. And remember to model, model, model. Whenever you are writing, use lots of self-talk to point out what you are doing and why. Sometimes this will be planned, and sometimes this will be a teachable moment. During our practice time this week, we will practice doing a shared writing activity and getting feedback from peers. If you are unable to attend on Tuesday, you have a few options. 1, you can schedule a time to meet with me to practice shared writing. 2, you can record a 1 to 2 minute clip of you practicing shared writing. This does not have to be in front of your class. You can pretend, but if you're comfortable doing it in front of your class, that's fine too. Or 3, you can send me a plan for when you might use shared writing in your class, including what the purpose of that writing is, and naming 3 strategies you will incorporate throughout the shared writing lesson and why you will use those strategies. Hopefully you can make it this week, and I look forward to seeing you. Bye.